do a, well, the reason we're doing this is to get the party easier out in the county so people can get to the meetings easier. And we have them every other month in Fresno, and then this one, on the other month, we're going to have them locally. So we'll probably have them in Sanger next time, or it could be anywhere in the county. So it's going to be good. Hopefully people can get there. And especially with good speakers like Ellington, it should be really exciting. A few updates, because I want to get going here. There's an American Nights fundraiser on August 6th with Sheriff Mims. So if you want information on that, it's at, let's see, FresnoGOP.org, or you can call the office. And also there's a summer internship opportunity for high school and college. And I think we already have 15 people signed up for some of it, and we can still have room for more, Matt. So that's exciting. And it's really great to get these young people involved, so I think it's great. Also, you can become a precinct captain, and you can sign up on our website for that too. And that's really the most fun, because it's walking your own neighborhood, and it's just, you get to meet everybody, and you can give them a little bit of your opinion too, because I think we all like to do that. And so anyway, that's a great way to get involved. And so all the details for all this stuff is FresnoGOP.org, or I have the office number if you'd like that. And I also would like to introduce David Giglio. Did I get your name right? And he's running against Costa. So yay! Right. So go ahead and stand so they can see you. And he's a former teacher and from Madera. He's not from this area, but he wanted you guys to meet him, so you know who's going to beat Costa this year. That's right. So it's great. And now for our main event, Ellington Smith. And to read his bio, you pretty much have to have a PhD. So we shall see here. He started his career as a systems process control engineer for General Electric. And as such, he applied computer control systems to power plants, power grids, refineries, pipelines, discrete manufacturing, whatever that is, and logistics, and later joined Texas Instruments as Director of Business Development. And he's done e-commerce to prime government contractors, so he's actually helped Fedwire, Federal Reserve Network, between banks and providers. And with Raycal Corporation in the United Kingdom with Visa Security modules, and secured wholesale electronic fund transfers between domestic and international banks. And so he's worked with the EU, and I mean, just amazing things. And it gets even more complicated than that on some of these things. But most recently, in 2017, he provided blockchain digital architecture for energy transfers, logistics of life cycle management, and blockchain for in-flight monitoring of jet engines. And he's presently working on a non-fee payment system that integrates digital currency into retail markets called PicklePay. So with that, I have Ellington Smith. Come on up.
Hi guys, here's our main speaker. Hey, Connie. Connie.
Kingsburg already heard.
No.
Hey, Connie.
No. Oh, did you put it on him? Oh, yeah.
We don't have PhDs, so it's our third time.
Sorry, I took my mic off to show them.
Yeah, you might be sorry you came, because last time I talked so long that there were only 2 people left in the audience, and they were the cleanup crew. So my talk basically is in 2 areas, so it could have been 2 talks, but they kind of go together with what's happening with all the events. The cashless society, we have watched primarily in the epidemic, because the numbers have changed drastically. In 2019, 73% of all retail transactions were on credit cards and debit cards. So cash was used 27% of the time. This year, well, actually 80% of the transactions were on cards, and 20% was cash. So we're already moving into a cashless society. all of us realize what cashless society is, I think, but the sinister thing is what's behind it that we don't hear about. And that's what I'd like to address when I talk about cashless society. The other side is what's happening in the Federal Reserve and the banking system. I've never seen any of this in the news, and so that bothers me quite a bit. But the banking system, this is where I call it a hijacked economy, because basically we're no longer in charge, and the Federal Reserve is no longer in charge of monetary policy. So I'll cover that and how that works. Back in the e-commerce days, which took in the late 90s, there was a part of e-commerce was changing the banking system so that it could handle data inside of a transaction. And that was a thing called ANSI 12 standard, which basically, if you look at your Costco receipt, you'll see 3 columns. The left column basically defines what the product is you're buying, you know, socks, pears, and whiskey. And the center one basically is the D code of the barcode, so it's the alphanumeric identification of the product you're buying. And on the right side is basically the cost of the item. Well, what happens is that information actually goes as part of the transaction. So when you use your card, all of that information resides on a database. It started out being held by the retailer, so when you went to return an item, the retailer could just go to your account or your membership, like Costco, look it up, and they could see that you bought the item, you didn't need the receipt. Well, they've expanded a little bit more, and now the banks basically take that information and store it on you as well as your checking account, so your whole account now has profile of everything you bought in detail. In 2015, there was a meeting in Europe, the European Banking Committee Association, whatever it was, passed a ruling that was called open banking. And open banking basically allows any institution to go in, pay the bank a fee, and have access to all of your information, okay? Now, all of that sounds kind of interesting, but now how it's being used is the sinister part of this. You notice that Facebook formed a thing called Facebook Financial, okay? This happened last year. The other one is Google has a product called direct deposit account, and they've sold the direct deposit account to 6 of the major banks right now. And then Amazon has done their own, but what's happening is they're combining social media with your financials, okay? So Facebook will now pay Wells Fargo a fee, and they can have access to all of your information, match it up with your social media activity, and they start profiling you on a psychological algorithm. The psychological algorithm places you as a conservative, spending money, donating to a church, donating to this cause, and if you don't fit the right cause, you get flagged, and they have a category that they basically create a new risk factor, okay? That's what artificial intelligence is doing. So when you combine this with artificial intelligence, you now are tracking individuals all the way from when they were kids working on the internet till they're 50 years old and they're applying for a job, and somebody saw that they had this habit or something in their record. Eric Schmidt, who I'm not necessarily a fan of, but he was security for Microsoft, and he became the advisor for Clinton, and he's now the security guru for Google. Basically told in an interview that your kids are going to have to change their name, because when they go to apply for a job or something, there's going to be so much history on there, and you don't know if all of that history is correct history. It's on the system. You don't know if there's been a mix-up or somebody has created something that was getting even with you, vindictiveness or anything like that, but it goes on the database and it'll be on your record forever. So that's kind of what's happening. The other side of it is in the credit card, debit card business, there's 176 billion transactions a year. The 176 billion transactions, you calculate the money associated with that is 25 cents per transaction as a fee, plus 1.5 to 2.5% of the value of the transaction. Well, if you take all of the value of the transactions, it's $196 trillion, okay? It doesn't follow the gross national product because it's duplicated a number of times. Like when you receive your payroll check, that's counted as one transfer, wireless transfer into your account, and then you pay from that account, so you're duplicating the application a number of times, and that's why that value is higher than the gross national product, okay? But it's a tremendous amount of money. And the other thing is the push into the cashless society is being done because of what's happening to the Federal Reserve and what's happening with major corporations trying to take control of the economy. The total amount of funds transfers in wireless is 1.2 quadrillion. That's 16 zeros. That's the money that is transferred. This would be through all of the Federal Reserve districts. It's from the government sending checks out, those checks being redone and other payments, and it all cascades down, and it's a tremendous amount of wealth. Well, in the cashless society, as we move into it and digital currency becomes a dominant factor, you're paying fees to private corporations to participate in commerce, and that shouldn't happen at all. You should not have to pay fees to Google or Facebook or even Amazon to be able to participate in the economy. But this is what's happening. They're controlling the economy. The other side of this is that a company called BlackRock, and I'll cover BlackRock in a little bit, but a company, BlackRock, bought the DNA side of Ancestry.com about 2 months ago. You wonder why an equity management company is buying DNA. Well, they happen to have $58 billion invested in Microsoft. They have $54 billion invested in Facebook. I think it's 45 billion in Amazon. They have 22 billion in Google, which is Alphabet, Google. So they've invested in a lot of these companies that are setting up the cashless society and the driving for it. So what's going to be added, you kind of wonder, I'm just speculating, this isn't in place yet, but they could very well put your DNA as part of that artificial intelligence analysis with your social media and your financial records. And so now they can classify you for your insurance, for your health records. Have you taken the vaccination? Are your ancestors have some kind of disease in the family chain? They can do all of this, and it affects basically what your risk factor is. Now, the Paris Accord is another one. The Paris Accord basically comes in where it's requiring individuals to be monitored on a carbon print. So I think it's section 20.2 of the Paris Accord. I had the reference, I lost it and I can't find it. Now you can take in and put the footprint of your carbon use inside of this profile that's artificial intelligence is analyzing, and you now can be classified as a user of carbon, and therefore you have a higher risk. And so it isn't necessarily the cashless society that we're talking about. It's all of these things that are being added onto it that are going to affect individuals, and you're going to have a profile print that follows you for your lifetime. It's not going to disappear. So that's the danger of these kids being on networks, things that are going on. All of this stuff is going. The iCloud has helped us a lot because you can now store all of this in iCloud. Now, on the other side of this is the Federal Reserve. I'm surprised at how many people still don't realize that the Federal Reserve is not part of government. Monetary policies set up for US Treasury. They set the interest rate, they set the inflation, and all of that. If you follow it through, Paul Volcker, during the Carter-Reagan time, was credited for bringing down inflation. Then Alan Greenspan came in, and Alan Greenspan had two bubbles that were part of the inflationary process. One was the tech bubble, and one was the housing bubble. The tech bubble cost NASDAQ 73% of its value. So NASDAQ lost 73% of its value just on the tech bubble. That was caused because Greenspan did not raise interest rates to offset, and money was totally available, kind of duplicating what we have right now. Then you come into Bernanke, okay? Bernanke came in.
Can you guys hear okay? Please tell me.
Did a lot of damage relative to the T-bills. The T-bills that were issued were 3% lower than the value. So when you bought a T-bill, you already lost 3%. That sounds okay for us, but we have a lot of international companies and countries that are backing their currency in greenbacks. And the greenbacks basically lost billions of dollars on these wealth funds controlled by countries that backed their currency on US dollars, okay? So the backlash of that was in 2015, Russia and China got together and they formed an international trade currency called the BRIC. And the BRIC is basically used for international trade. Germany is using it to pay Russia for the Russian oil through the Black Sea. And it gets them around a lot of the sanctions put on countries like Iran, okay? So the BRIC is becoming an international trade currency for between countries. They actually went out and formed a group of countries that now are trading in BRICS, India, South Africa, Brazil, Russia, and China. Those are the 5 that were set up. They actually do all of their international trade now in BRICS. The other side of that is that as of the 5th of this month, you didn't hear about this, but Russia hosted 5,000 people in St. Petersburg on the International Economic Forum just before the G7. And they signed up I think it was 183 global trade agreements between countries, and something like 46 or 47 agreed to do the trade in BRICS, okay? Following that, Russia turned around last week and they dumped $40 billion of US dollars and bought gold. So they bought gold and then they turned around and dropped $4 billion on their oil. And all of this came from their wealth fund that they were set up. So this process is attacking the United States by flooding the market with dollars. You combine that with what's happening with printing all the dollars and the stimulus package and all that, all of this is going to come home to roost. In fact, Deutsche Bank, week before last, their economist basically came out and said that the US has to have a 14.7 inflation, and that's minimum. That's minimum inflation. The worry is that when the fourth quarter comes up and the T-bills are issued, that the T-bills will be devalued 12%. Well, we had a financial crisis back when, can't even think of his name, ran for president. Anyway, no, our hero, McCain, John McCain. When he went back to DC, that was, I'm sorry, I had a block there. He went back to DC and they basically, that was a crisis and that was caused by a 3% drop. So you can imagine what a 12% drop is going to do. Now, I mentioned a company called BlackRock. BlackRock is the world's largest asset management company. They were managing $7 trillion in assets, and the primary thing was it was pension funds, retirement funds, insurance, operations like that. Well, year before, when Yellen went to US Treasury and we had Jerome Powell become head of the Federal Reserve, some very interesting things happened. Jerome Powell is not an economist. Everybody before this has been an economist. Jerome Powell is a inside the Beltway attorney. He graduated from Georgetown University. So he's running the Federal Reserve now, and he's not an economist. His claim to fame is a consensus builder. So you wonder what is happening there. When Yellen left, they gave a non-compete contract to BlackRock to manage all of the Federal Reserve assets. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, all of the prime mortgages, all of that is being managed by BlackRock. But there's also something very interesting. Well, let me back up. BlackRock was formed in 1998 by a fellow named Fisk, F-I-S-K. And his background is kind of interesting, but he formed BlackRock, and that has grown rapidly. But BlackRock, as part of the Federal Reserve now, managing the Federal Reserve, is allowed to buy corporate bonds. Okay, so the Federal Reserve is buying corporate bonds of the major corporations like Microsoft, primarily defense contractors. They have bought corporate bonds in 500, I think it might be the Fortune 100 companies, which take in prime government contractors. So they buy the debt, but more than that, they invest in the company, and when you invest $58 billion into Microsoft, you're going to have a seat on the board. So what they've done is they've placed activist board members on all of the board of directors of the companies they invested in. So they're not only controlling the board direction and woke and green energy management and things like that, these are activists. And they're also controlling part of the debt. So you get the squeeze on the corporation to comply with these activists. The last board fight that took place was in Exxon 2 weeks ago. And Exxon ended up setting aside and structuring a Green New Deal participation. And that was all caused by these activists. On the other side of this, you're not only getting that squeeze, but on the international side, Russia with the BRIC has set up a new clearinghouse. Is anybody familiar with SWIFT out of Brussels? They were the first international clearinghouse on currency. Well, Russia has now set up a clearinghouse that will trade in BRICS. The other thing is Coinbase has united with Visa to come up with the first credit card that is based on cryptocurrency, okay? There are 4,000 cryptocurrencies in the world right now, over 4,000. The US Yellen hired MIT to create a digital currency. They have the digital currency in 5 denominations. They haven't issued it yet because they don't have a strategy for introducing it, because it could cause a lot of chaos. They're watching China very closely because China has now introduced their cryptocurrency as a national currency, and they're watching that very close to see what happens. If they issue the digital dollar, the reevaluation of the dollar will take place, and you'll see more dumping of the dollars. So this is something to watch out for. They're projecting fourth quarter fiscal year of the government fourth quarter, which is October, as being a major point in the inflationary cycle caused by all of this dumping of currency. The other things, I got to go back to my notes. I can't remember all this. When I started getting interested in this, you have M1, M2, and M3 money. M1 is your cash, M2 is your short-term debt, consumer loan, M3 is your long-term debt. Well, there's a push to push dollars into short-term debt. When I started this, for every dollar in circulation, there is $80 in short-term debt. Now that's about $460 in short-term debt for every dollar in circulation. So that's how they're leveraging the currency. So the speculation is that when they come out with the digital dollar, they will link it to the M2 money supply and change the value of the dollar that way. But again, they're working on a strategy waiting for China to see how China works. Now, the China infrastructure is a lot different because the Bank of China handles the issuing of cards, they handle the acquiring data of a transaction, and they do the processing. In the United States, the issuer, processor, and acquirer, all different companies. That's why the rates are so high, because each of these have networks and processes, and they're all private companies. You know, Heartland was the clearing, or the ACH, the automated clearinghouse for the Midwest, and they were hacked for $400 billion, and it took the FBI 4 years to catch them. The fellow was out of Florida. So the vulnerabilities and things like that within the banking system and within digital currency is substantial. And there's several types of digital currency. One is a transactional, and the other is more of an investment, place to park your money. And there's a difference on how they're played. And the big problem is when you work with digital currency, you don't know if all of it has been released or they only released part of it. For instance, they may design the currency for $10 million and they only release $5 million. And so the release of that second part of the currency deflates the value. So right now, the US hasn't issued any of it, but there's speculation that they're not going to issue it at its full value. So they'll be issuing it part. That gives them the right to deflate the value once they set it. So, okay. I think I'll wrap it up there. And
for the common man that's worked his ass off his whole life and put money in whatever, IRAs, buildings, what's the hedge for us? How do we
You're in
get
trouble.
out of this with our head?
You're in trouble. And all of this is being controlled very much by BlackRock, okay? And you got to follow a little more of the history of BlackRock, but it's very scary what's going on, and it's held within a small group of private investors, JP Morgan, Deutsche Bank, Morgan Stanley, and the New York Stock Exchange, very heavily involved with it. So we are bombarded with so many problems that it's hard to come up with things and have a consensus. But if you could get together with consensus, there's a paradigm shift that we can make, but it requires everybody's participation. It can't be fragmented. And you can do this. Let me give you an example. Let's say that there's a lot of money available, but you can't borrow money because the banks aren't loaning to you. But yet there's a lot of money available. How do you get a down payment for another piece of property or a house? Well, one of the things you can do is create a second mortgage type document, put it into blockchain, and basically sell that token or give that token as a down payment on property. So we call it an equity swap. So you can do an equity swap. This is kind of what is being done with the energy swap that I did for AI blockchain in New York. The other side of that is you can create a digital currency that's private. It doesn't have to be public. Digital currency that is private bypasses all the regulations. Right now, to register a blockchain currency is a minimum of $2 million in legal fees, right off the bat. And but you can create things that bypass the system that are basically, that's not my phone. My phone is a quack. So anyway, I'll just kind of wrap it up and take questions if you have any. Whew. Let's start in the back there.
So, I'm still a little confused. Are we entering a crypto age where we should be getting in on it or staying away from it?
It's one of the
Dramatically, right?
it's one of the safest things to park money at. It's less risky than Wall Street right now because institutional traders are working Wall Street, and so cryptocurrency is I'm not talking about the transactional stuff. I'm talking about the Bitcoin kind of thing. Bitcoin was designed to be $1 million a coin by 2035. So we'll see if it reaches it, but the technology behind that is pretty safe. The problem that you run in with cryptocurrency is the exchanges. The government, the IRS, has created an application interface they're forcing all of the exchanges to use so that they can be aware that you've deposited money in cryptocurrency. And that's in place now. So they're tracking it. One of the things that you can do is do an offshore cryptocurrency that might be backed in bricks. There's several of those out there. But the government is monitoring that now. There is.
Share with them what you think our timeline is for all of this happening.
A lot of this depends on the T-bills coming out fourth quarter, which is October. And this is where Deutsche Bank is saying 14.7% inflationary rate. And if that happens and the T-bills drop 12% of value at the announcement, then your dollar is just going to crash. In April, they released T-bills, and it was 0% interest. And what they did is they forced the banks to take them. So that's the way they got rid of them. They just forced the banks to take them. This over here.
Well, I have read recently that Bitcoin was somewhat outlawed in China mainly because it was dragging down the servers. It was using up server time so badly that China says we're not going to allow Bitcoin in China anymore. And I'm wondering what kind of impact that has on the whole.
You're absolutely right, but that's primarily caused by too many investors at one time, and it's part of the mining operation to validate that a coin is true coin, and Russia has a whole thing, whole mining operation in place. So does China, but they're doing it because in China, they've announced the digital currency, and they want people to use their digital currency instead of Bitcoin.
That's the reason.
Yeah, that's part of it. That's not the entire.
Yeah.
You had.
Yeah, I've been listening and thinking the house of cards. And I kind of believe that there's some parts of history that tend to repeat itself. How close are we to the reflections of 2008?
We're on it. I think we're right on the edge.
That's scary. I didn't want to hear that.
Yeah. This.
Okay, with my Bitcoin, when I send it to somebody's wallet, there's no way to get it back if you've been frauded. How do you, I mean, that's so risky. So how do they cover that when they?
Yeah, the pipeline incident and the J&J food is interesting that the FBI got it. The developers or the users of the ransomware used a thing called public key infrastructure. And public key infrastructure means that I use a separate key to create the content and you use a separate key to read the content, to open it up. And so there's a thing called man-in-the-middle attack. And so if you sit in the middle and you look at the key exchange, you now have access to that. And that's what the FBI did. So, but you as a citizen, impossible.
Because if I do something, a transaction on my debit card, I could go to my bank and say, they frauded me, they didn't do the contract the way they were supposed to do, and then the bank could get the money back for me. But with the blockchain, I mean, you're done.
Once you do it, it's done.
Yeah.
You don't get it back.
Okay.
So, go ahead.
Given that the excuse me, given that the United States government and the Federal Reserve System are two separate entities, as you said earlier, a lot of people don't realize that the Federal Reserve System is not a function or agency of the United States government. But when I look at my Federal Reserve note in my wallet, I see two signatures on it. The Secretary of the Treasury and the Treasurer of the United States. Could you please explain how that happens, what that relationship is there? I don't quite understand it.
They're signing off on a Federal Reserve note, which is an IOU.
Right.
Okay, so those signatures represent a sign off on an IOU to guarantee that note. And that's what that is. But it's a Federal Reserve note.
So that's why they're signing it.
Yeah.
So in other words, they're saying the federal government is backing this private
Yes.
company.
Yeah.
My question is, so if China has created their own Bitcoin, that means they're not accepting other Bitcoins, right? Or you
They're
don't have
they're
any-
discouraging it because they're in the process of introducing their own digital currency.
But they would still accept them then.
They probably would, but it's a matter of their policy and trying to get people to accept their currency. So,
What would that do to the other currencies, the other blockchain currencies?
like there's 4,000 of them, and it's very confusing on who's doing what and how it's done. So you need to know the details of the currency you're buying and who's behind it and what exchange is being used. Okay?
Is it a good time to buy gold?
Gold's always a good time. I just don't have any money.
How about real estate? Do you consider real estate still a hedge
I mean,
against a cash or a dollar devaluation?
Real estate is inflating, except for commercial real estate. It's going the other way down. And blockchain, by the way, bought up an entire housing development in Texas. Okay, they're buying up real estate in private housing and providing the mortgages and everything. This BlackRock is a very dangerous thing that's happened, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's controlled by just a few people.
Sounds like it's gonna make 2008 look like child's play.
Yeah, yeah.
This hits their-
What's getting ready to happen, the government's trying to delay this, but I think the reason why Jerome Powell is chairman of the board is he's going to become a scapegoat, okay? Because the well-known economists aren't going to take the rap for what's getting ready to happen.
So my concern, the Fed announced today to anticipate a 4.6 inflation rate by the end of this year. They have really no control over it anymore because interest rates are already at zero. At some point, the payment on the federal debt, which has to be paid above everything, before everything else, is going to equal the income of the federal government, and they won't be able to pay government employees, which is a good thing.
We'll borrow money to print, we'll print money to pay the employees. There was an article, I think it was Wall Street Journal, day before yesterday, that talked about the interest on the American debt going to China basically is enough to finance the Chinese military. So we're paying for their military due to our incompetence in how we're handling things. And that, you know, those things become typical on how our government is operating. Yes?
You mentioned gold a minute ago. Last time we had a meeting, somebody showed me a gold back. You're familiar with what that is? Basically, the 4 states now are printing their own gold back money. And what they do is vacuum deposit gold onto foil, and it's intrinsically has gold value, each one of these gold backs.
I'll have to look into that. I'm not familiar with
It's
it.
called Goldback. You can go to goldback.com and find out as much.
Okay, I do know that a lot of the gold certificates you buy, the deposits aren't there.
Right.
You know, the Canadian gold certificates, only 40% is backed by gold, the rest is,
But it's somewhere else typically, it's not in your hand.
yeah.
What they're saying, the value of this is the fact that since it's right here, and they're depositing small amounts, like 100 troy of gold on one, its value becomes like I bought two of them just to find out what it was all about. The $5 bill, it's not $5 bill, that $5 bill is now $20 in gold value.
Mhm.
What they're saying is with inflation, it may rise in value at the same rate that inflation rises. So at least you have something to deal with in a small amount instead of walking around with a lot of gold on you. Or trying to figure out, somebody trying to figure out what they use. You have to buy
Is this,
Bitcoin to find out if-
this is state-backed or is it privately backed?
Is it what?
Is the gold certificate, I mean, not certificate, but the gold bill, is it state-backed or is it privately backed?
State back, the state determines what the requirements are.
Okay.
You can check into it
I'll look into that.
No, I'm not.
I'd like to learn more about that. Thank you. Yeah. Somebody,
What would be the solution to get this Bitcoin on this, for the inflation under control?
let's put it this way. Criticizing things is very easy. Coming up with solutions is genius.
Do they need more laws, or do they need?
We got so many laws that we don't know.
It's a whole different,
It,
so different.
I think you have to look at doing shadow economics. And this, the case in point was the equity transfer thing that I shared with you. New techniques for handling things. And the benefit of blockchain is the fact that you have anonymity, even in a private blockchain. And the only way the government can see what's going on is hitting the exchanges. But if you have a private blockchain, there's no exchanges. And there's no mining. There's no mining of the coin. So it's totally wrapped up. It's a one-way security thing, and it's there's some interesting things about it. Yeah.
I hope this is not a landslide, but because of the pandemic, a lot of people they lost their jobs, they're having trouble paying their mortgages even now. So come October, are a whole bunch of people not gonna have enough money to pay their mortgage? And I can't see thousands upon thousands of us all, being foreclosed on. What can we do about any of that?
Well, in the 20s, the banks closed in on the mortgages of farmers and everything. It depends on how many times your mortgage has been sold and what the prime mortgage holder has. And they'll have to work some kind of bailout because, everybody collapsing at the same time is not gonna happen. Yes.
Okay, so say we create our own blockchain currency, and say it's a conservative blockchain currency that conservative business owners and the private sector, I go buy eggs from Bill, I buy dinner from Schoolhouse. That is a legit solution, correct?
That's correct, but you need to make it private by contract. And one of the benefits of blockchain is the contract structuring of blockchain.
Which you can.
What do you mean,
Yeah,
Jenny? What do you
yeah.
mean by ask?
And-
What happens
and-
to your money in the bank?
Yeah, it's a barter system.
Yes.
Yeah,
Which we've already kind of got an outline for with Liberty Coalition up in Clovis.
Oh, is that right?
System that we've been mulling around for weeks now. So now I'm sitting here listening to you for the third time, and my the wheels are turning, which is always a problem. But what if we sit down and what if this is something that comes out of, I mean, can we do this?
Yes, and this is where you have to make sure you have cohesiveness and everybody's on the same page. You want to keep the group small. You don't want it big. One of the things that also is happening in blockchain is the pyramid schemes. They're all over the place, and so you have to watch out that you don't end up creating something like that. So you keep it small, you keep it private.
Is that the thing that costs $2 million to start, Bill?
No, a public cryptocurrency, just to get through the Security Exchange Commission, the IRS, doing the compliance is about a two. I mean, I'm going back quite a few years because that's when 2017, that's when I was involved with doing this for AI blockchain in New York, and that's what they had to pay. So it's probably more than that now.
So is it much less expensive to do that on a private blockchain?
Excuse me?
To write the code and create that, what would that cost for us to set up?
There's a lot of formats for that. One is called Ethereum, and Ethereum blockchain can be used as a private blockchain. Blockchain is nothing new. Blockchain, I used it 40 years ago. I am that old. I know I don't look it, but I used it 40 years ago. What made blockchain interesting was the tokenization of blockchain. But blockchain as a technique is very secure, and it's one of the best ways to secure content and transfer it. So it's been around quite a while.
I have two questions from online. One asks, so what happens to your money in the bank then? She's asking what happens to your money in the bank when everything goes crypto?
Good question. Stockton. When you sent me the email about Stockton, Wells Fargo not allowing anybody to withdraw more than $5,000. And you're going to, I have two friends that were limited and couldn't draw more than $2,000 out of Bank of America. So these things are starting to happen. I don't have all the details of it, but the banks are in a position where they're protected against a run on the bank. So
It's going to happen.
it's.
The run on the bank is going to happen, so
I don't necessarily have a solution outside of your barter system and equity swap and that kind of stuff. Yes, sir.
So if you wanted to cut somebody a check for $20,000, then they could not take that to the bank and have that check be made good?
That's a payment obligation by contract, and
But
it's
that would be an
it's
easy way of getting around not being able to withdraw $5,000.
yes and no. One of the things that they're requiring, the Eastern banks last year when we had the coin shortage and everything, I was 8 weeks in Arlington, Virginia, going to a course at University of Maryland. And during that time, the banks were letting you take money out, but you had to put it on an ATM card. You were not given the cash. You're given a credit. And so withdrawing money, that's probably the way it's going to happen. You're going to be given credit on your debit card, and that'll be your exchange rate. That's part of the drive to the cashless society. Yeah.
Just personal experience, but it's been for quite a while now. If you went to the bank and wanted to withdraw, let's say $10,000, they have to report it to the feds.
Yeah.
So we've always gotten around it by getting 999,000, whatever it is.
Yeah, I think that number's dropped.
I did
Yeah.
have,
Yeah, I think it's dropped.
I'll ask right now, Julius. I'm just waiting for my
somewhere
turn.
around there, yeah. Okay, oh, yes, ma'am.
So for those people who have been storing money in their mattress, is that a bad idea now?
Depends on how high inflation goes, you know.
So Google and some of these other places are gonna turn into banks, and the regular banks that we know of today are gonna go bye-bye.
What they're doing is they're doing away with the infrastructure of automated clearinghouses. And for instance, you have Lynx, you have the Cactus Switch, you have the Evergreen Switch, you got the Bank of Omaha, First Data Resources. These are all companies that are part of the ACH, and those are going to be done away with things like direct deposit. Now, PayPal, when they started out, they had a credit card, and they got away from the credit card because the fees were too much. So they went to direct account deposit and withdraw. And they did that to get around the fees. So.
I got a question. How easy is it to set up a blockchain account to store your own personal data? Like if somebody wanted to start up their own blockchain, is it pretty easy? Sorry, right here.
Oh, there.
Is it pretty easy for somebody to set up their own blockchain if they wanted to store their own personal data? And
Yeah.
yeah.
It's easy. You can do that. There's an open source with Ethereum and Ether. The trouble is you don't want to use a cryptocurrency that comes from open source because you don't know what the coding is inside of it. It can be modified, and you unless you're programming at assembly level language, you don't want to deal with it. You want to be very careful. In fact, what is it called? EB. Somebody here know the EB? It's a cryptocurrency based on Ethereum's open source. People are buying into it, and the thing is they don't know what that code is that makes up the blockchain. So,
What I was gonna ask, somewhere I read, like keeping savings, putting savings in a bank, anything in the bank. They were saying deal with local banking institutions, that would be safer somewhat.
well, the problem with credit unions and local banks is they have the bigger banks doing the processing. Like the Bank of Omaha does a lot of processing for credit bureaus. And so you're still locked into the big banking system.
Even credit unions and things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, remember that.
yeah. So I guess that's it. Thank you.
Wow. Mind blowing. Thank you, Ellington. Thank you so much. I'm terrified. I was always afraid. I was born afraid. And I thought we just had to elect the right person and work hard every day and show up, you know. Some people said, you know, work.
Grab that mic before you say something you shouldn't.
Oh, sure.
You just have to
Sure, I'm
put
sorry.
them on.
Open
and
mics
show
always
up.
get people in trouble.
You get through life and you take care of your family and so on. But now our world is corrupt and wants to take everything you've worked hard for. And I'm not sure we have a solution. I mean, certainly we've read about people that have hoarded money in their mattresses.
My magnet.
And stuff, and then
There's a magnet for you. Oops. Oh, sorry.
all that stuff, and if we actually go into anarchy and there's no food in the stores and there's no money, you can't get it out of the bank, you're gonna have hoodlums running around beating you up for what you have because, hey, there's a nice house, let's go over there. So, I mean, afraid is what I am right now. I was a Boy Scout once and, you know, be prepared, but I'm not sure I'm prepared for this right now. I'm really not sure. I wanna thank you for what you know and the time and effort you've put into your career. And coming to this point and sharing a little bit of that with us was, exemplary. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Can I just
Same
share
here.
something really quick? We were having a dinner meeting one night, and we didn't have a speaker for the following week, and I want to talk about Ellington. And I had made a flippant comment, oh, whoever it is will just, drop out of the sky. And within a few minutes, Ellington walked into our meeting. Nobody knew him except for the individual that brought him. And my mom was in the meeting, and she's like, you have to talk to him, he's the speaker next week. And so I really do feel like, because he has not been speaking up until that point, and we've kind of put him out there in the public, but I really feel like Ellington has been prepared for this as a gift to all of us and from the Lord, because he knows things that none of us would ever know or understand, and he can bring it and dumb it down for the rest of us. And I feel like he is playing the horn of, get ready, you guys, you gotta know what's coming. And it's terrifying, and I look at my grandkids and I'm terrified for them. But the fact that this man is
Can you guys hear her?
talking to all of these groups and warning all of us should give us some comfort and should help us unite to figure out what the solution is and how we maneuver and navigate our way through the future and when it's gonna serve us.
Totally agree.
So,
Totally
thank
agree.
you, Ellington. Thank you.
Sorry.
What it points out is that a barter system with Bitcoin and those things are in essence, and actually when you take money out of your wallet and pay for something, that piece of paper is worth nothing except what the federal government says it's worth. So you buy a loaf of bread, milk, whatever with it, and they give you change and so forth. You go out and earn it, then somebody gives you money, you give them money. It's a bartering mechanism in essence in my mind. Bitcoin is the same, but what needs to happen as far as I'm concerned, if we were expecting real big trouble, is people need to develop their own local barter techniques, whatever it is, whether it's gold backs, Bitcoins, and I'm not sure if we're recommend that one, but, and just looking up. Huh?
Chickens with eggs.
Yeah, you gave me a chicken. But
Everybody knows what everybody.
You want my
I mean,
film?
this is what I see kind of coming.
Victory Gardens?
If I can just add something that's kind of interesting is, involves Epstein. And, Epstein was a math teacher.
I don't mind not paying
And then
free.
in late '80s, he became a investor, and he was seeded by J.P. Morgan with roughly $50 million to get started. But there were funds transferred in '91 and '97, just before BlackRock was formed, and there's speculation that his whole purpose was to compromise executives of these large corporations, to fragment them and manipulate the stock, and that was forced on them by blockchain. The other thing is Ghislaine Maxwell, his girlfriend, has twin sisters. One's Christine, the other one's Isabel. Isabel formed a software company and went belly up. $47 million of it was bailed out by Bill Gates, personal funds. So there's some connections that go on there that these corporate leaders who have compromised their moral structures and everything are actually being blackmailed. And you have to follow the money to check that, but that's the word that I got. The other thing is there's two organizations that are globalists, and we'll just call one East, one West. And the globalists have the same ideology, which is Marxism, and they're trying to use the same ideology to take over control of the economics.
I have another follow-up question. I appreciate the information you gave us this evening. I'm not sure I was able to absorb all of it. Could you suggest a fairly simple, straightforward book? Lee needs to know.
Well, on the Federal Reserve, and I shared this with the others, it's called the Creature from Jackal Island. And it's a formation of the Federal Reserve and what it is. But it doesn't take in the turns that are happening now. And nobody that I know of is writing about this. And a lot of this is not being made public. It's very hard to get hold of information. And I still have friends that are within the Federal Reserve. I have one friend that was on the World Bank, and I'm his advisor on blockchain. And so this is kind of where I get my information and what's happening.
But you're writing a book. How are you doing with the book that
I'm
you're
still on
writing?
page 194.
He's too busy right now.
Is that book going to address some of these issues? I think you said it was fiction, but will it be addressing what we're talking about?
Not entirely. It's primarily following fraudulent bonds that the Treasury is buying back. And it follows a case of $40 billion that U.S. Treasury is buying back that was used for international trade. And the Italians discovered it. And so it kind of goes into that. But it deals with the SWIFT in Brussels.
Well, along with that, the Communist Manifesto has 10 points. One's taking over the education system. There's a period of time we will not be able to own private property anymore. That's all being taken. Can we assume that this Marxist communist formula is just chinking 1 through 10 with us now in America?
No, I don't think we're there yet. I think a couple more things have to happen before we get there. And it deals mostly with Middle East policy. Things like that.
Okay, well, thank you again, Ellington Smith. Very sobering, insightful, useful, and we're gonna have to get together and work out our own little private barter system. We may be needing your services soon, sir. Okay, our next meeting is gonna be Sandy Terosian. And many of you may have heard her before, but she's an educator. She worked with us closely when we were trying to keep Common Core from coming into California. But she started her own school now with a group up in Prather. And she's going to talk to us about a couple of issues here, focus on critical race theory and the new school. And she's a great speaker and a great person, so
Twin cards in here, they're gone.
hear what
That's not
Sandy
good, I gotta
has
find
to
them.
say. And I'll try to keep you up to date on some of the other issues that I touched on earlier today as well. Do you have anything else, Connie?
I was thinking, I was gonna ask, Eddie, if he takes the whole,
Was this recorded as well as streamed, Eddie?
Yeah, for the most part, yes.
can we
Okay.
do it, Brandon?
Yeah, you just go to EddieBlockFilms on YouTube, it'll be on there. And I'll actually email you, I'll
Eddie
edit one and
Block,
email you guys.
We called him and he had an opening and he said he could stream this for us tonight. And Eddie works with Ben Berkland and One American News. And they were in the Capitol during the
America's Voice Live.
uh,
America's Voice Live.
America's Voice Live, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Eddie. And they
Guillermo.
were in the Capitol on January 6th, documenting a number of things, and the FBI came in and took all of his equipment. And so he's doing this one now with an iPhone, but he had very sophisticated cameras and so on, and he doesn't know if or when he'll ever get his equipment back. And of course, they didn't give him an IOU other than a receipt saying we took your stuff. but they didn't give him 20 grand to say, here, go buy new stuff. We're gonna keep yours for whatever forensic stuff they're gonna do. But he's been to the border, he's been all over wherever Black Lives Matter stuff has been happening, riots in the streets.
I was at the Ferguson trial. I mean, not Ferguson. I mean, I was in Minneapolis a couple weeks ago for the trial for Derek Chauvin.
So for the trial. So anyway, Eddie's a well sought after guy, and he's a local, and we love him, and we appreciate him coming and streaming this and recording it. So it's Eddie Block Live.
EddieBlockFilms. EddieBlockFilms. Yeah. On YouTube.
On YouTube. Okay.
And Twitch.
And Matt,
You say we have a insurrectionist in the room.
That's what they say I am.
no, he was a videographer.
Yeah. Actually, I was the very last person on the Capitol. The Proud Boys carried my scooter up to the top, and the police didn't know how to get me down. So I was the very last person to get off of the Capitol on January 6th.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for coming. Sandy Terrosa next time. Be bold. Be brave. Mark your calendars. And lastly, this was when Trump was elected back in 2020. The Swiss projected the American flag on the Matterhorn. Do you think they're projecting the flag on the Matterhorn after Biden's little trip? Not thinking I'm seeing that one soon. So anyway, God bless you all.
Some beautiful women here today. All right, guys, what do you think? Did you guys enjoy this show today? I hope you enjoyed the speakers.
I see some more questions.
Okay, no problem. What was your name?
Christina.
Nice to meet you, Christina. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, but I am technically handicapped.
Yes, sir.
So what I need to do is write down. We have two people. One is running for the U.S. Senate, and the other lady is running for governor of the state of California.
Okay.
And my wife and I are coaching them, supporting them, and so
Sure.
forth. Can they somehow access this information?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
You know, let me give you my business card.
How do they do it?
How about I give you my business card? That'll make it easier for you. What they can do is if they go to YouTube.
Okay, so it's going to be on YouTube.
Yes.
They'll know. Both of them are tech savvy.
Okay, so they'll find it easy.
They're techies. I'm not.
Yeah, we're actually on YouTube right now. They're listening to you talk to me.
When I tell them, okay, go to YouTube, then
Yes,
what?
sir. Look up Eddie. My name Eddie.
Eddie.
And then Block, BLOCK.
Is it all one word?
Yeah, it's EddieBlockFilms.
BLOCK.
And then Films. FILMS. Yes, and they'll find me. As soon as they start typing Eddie Block in, my name should pop up.
EddieBlockFilms. And so they'll know how to get to YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay, and then when they get there, they want to put in EddieBlockFilms.
Yes.
And it'll be, how will it be cataloged? Will it be like tonight's date? Or how
It'll say Ellington Smith.
Oh, okay.
If they type in Ellington Smith, they should be able to find it.
Ellington Smith, and of course today's date, right?
Yes, it's actually live right now on today's date, so if they look it up, then they'll find it really easily.
6/16/21.
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, these ladies, they need all the help they can get.
Sure, and tell them I can help them out with making some videos for
They're
them.
both conservatives. We know both of them. I mean, we've met.
Sure. Who's the one running for governor, if I may ask? There's so many people running nowadays.
Yeah, there's over 100 of them.
Yeah.
Well, this lady's from Redding, California.
Okay.
And her name is
Sorry, I have to sit down.
LaRue.
Okay.
She's married, has 3 kids, 8, 4, and 2 of their ages. And she makes her living saving corporations.
Really?
She has a master's degree, an MBA. She has an MBA from a reputable university in New York, I think. And she travels around the world, finds multi-million-dollar or billion-dollar corporations that have a problem. She goes in, does the analysis, and says, here's what you got to do. 1, 2, 3, 4. save.
So she's a fixer. That's what we need.
And that's how she's done very well at it.
I can imagine. Yes,
And
sir.
she got to the point, she told us her personal story. And she said that over a 1.5 year period of time, she and her husband started having the discussions, well, we got money in the bank. We don't need to do this anymore. You know, one of those,
Yeah.
what are we going to do? You know, we're young. They're relatively young people.
Sure.
And so,
Do you mind if I put the camera on you so they're not looking that way? No, don't do it. Okay.
no, I'm not
Okay.
one of those.
Just because they're hearing the conversation, so they're just so you know.
So anyway, after a 1.5 years or so of discussion, it finally dawned on her, you know what, the state of California has a problem. I'm qualified. I have all the qualifications to solve the state's problem.
Sure.
Just like I do for these billion-dollar corporations.
Yeah.
It was like an aha moment. I'm going to run for governor.
Well,
What the hell with
good.
them?
I'd love to meet her and talk to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell her I can help. Let me give you my card real quick. Yeah, let me give you my card. Then you can give her my information.
Oh my gosh, okay, good. Well, tell me what would be a good date for you. Oh my goodness.
There's my
Another
card.
young lady is a Middle East analyst / terrorism analyst. She makes her living in Washington, D.C. advising at a top secret clearance on Middle East issues.
Oh, wow.
She's running for the U.S. Senate for the state of California to get rid of Feinstein.
Well, hopefully we do that.
So we're behind
Yeah.
both of them.
Well, let her know. Let them both know. Give them my number, my email, and
Thank
tell
you
them to
very
contact
much.
me. Yes, sir.
Really
Nice to meet you, sir.
appreciate it.
Of course.
I hope they contact us.
Sure, yeah, definitely. I'll help them with some videos and
We'll
stuff.
urge them to do so.
Sure. I can come film their speaking events even if they need it.
And then so you from a commercial aspect, you do this for a living? I mean, you charge a fee for services rendered?
I do sometimes. Like right now I'm not charging a fee. I'm just here.
So they could consult with you and figure out what you could do to
Help them, yes. We can help each other. Of course, yeah.
So
Yes,
there's
sir.
no free lunch, we know that.
Yeah. I used to do it for free all the time, and you know, ever since the FBI took all my
Then
equipment.
the bills come in and you go, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This ain't working.
No, yes, sir. Yeah. We're not Republicans because we're not.
Those of us who work for a living understand that.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
There's another group that doesn't have a clue, but we don't need to deal
Yeah,
with
we don't need to talk about them. Yes, sir.
Thank you very
Right
much.
on, yes, sir. All right, sorry guys, sorry about that. So, what did you guys think? I know it was kind of long and long-winded, but important information is always that way, right? How you doing? So, knowledge is king in this world, folks. You gotta learn stuff. How you doing, sir? Yes, sir, I do.
You ever done a Rotary program?
Yeah, actually, I used to do it when I was helping out the veterans, so I spoke to a lot of the Rotary around here. I did Kerman, Visalia.
You haven't done Sanger yet?
No, sir, I haven't.
So we're going to start meeting in person July 9th. So we'll be lining things up for the summer. We meet Fridays at noon.
Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah,
I'm the program chairman. Lee DeLapp's my name. Will be in touch.
Sure, my name's Eddie, sir. What was your name again, sir?
Lee DeLapp.
Lee DeLapp, nice to meet you, sir. Yeah, I just do a live show from 6 o'clock at night normally, so that's why. But during the day, I'm always free to go film.
You're one of my clerks.
Wonderful, thank you, sir. Wonderful. Thank you, sir.
You bet. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Oh, the guy left that was running
No
for...
worries. The FBI will get your stuff back to you. So I think soon as they return some of the evidence from the Kennedy assassination.
Yeah, probably then, right? Yeah. I asked them. My camera is a GoPro 10. You know, every year they come out with a new one. They said it'll be a GoPro 20 or 30 by the time you get your stuff back. So, yeah. I guess the guy running for Congress left already, huh? I was gonna go speak to him.
What's that?
The guy running for Congress left already. I see. I was gonna go talk to him. Oh well. All right, guys. Yeah, you know, Henry, I went to Catholic school and my dad was in the Air Force, so everything's yes, ma'am, yes, sir. But anyways, guys, so like I was saying, me try and get better here. You know, I guess I'll hold it. You know, some of these meetings can be slow and boring, but they're important. Stuff like this, you have to go in here and learn, right? Not everything's gonna make sense right away, but you never know. In a few weeks, you might hear something on the news and say, "Hey, wait a minute, that guy talked about this," right? An uninformed person is just a stupid, dumb person, right? I don't mean to call people dumb and stupid, but you gotta inform yourself, and that's why I love coming to meetings like this. They're always inviting me to these meetings, and I think, well, you know, the viewers were down tonight. I think it's important information, and I think once a month on Wednesdays, I'm gonna come out here and do this. Yeah, Kelly can be long-winded and speak a lot, but so do I, right? And you got to see some cool food. Oh my gosh, that chocolate plate was delicious. The meatloaf that I had was very delicious as well. So, I mean, you know, that's what we got to do here, folks. And I learned something new on my phone because I'm trying to text Drunk Uncle to try and figure something out, and I didn't want to do it on my phone because I thought it was gonna. Oh wow! See, look, there's even beautiful conservative women here. She's one, and then there's one in the middle. You can kind of see right there. But I'm gonna show you guys something. I learned something new about my Apple Watch. I was trying to figure out how I could text Drunk Uncle, right? So Drunk, I'm gonna show you how hard this was. So what you do is this. Let's see. You go here to messages. And so if you want to send a message from your phone, this is how it works. You have to type it in like that because there's no keyboard. Did you guys know this? I didn't know this. D-R-U-N-K. Can you guys see that? So basically whatever you type, L, A. Well, it's not very clear, is it? But did you guys know that about... Did you guys know that about these Apple iPhones? Oh wait, there he is. Hold on, there's the congressman guy right there. Let's go get him. Let me unplug my battery charger. Because I want to hear what this guy has to say. Now, you know, we'll take the battery charger with us. I'm gonna have to give this guy my information. Dude, I freaked out first. I lost a couple of my credit cards. I don't know where they are. So I might have to call in the bank and cancel all my credit cards. Well, let's go talk to this guy who's running for Congress.
Not just to elect me, that's part of it, but also to bring people to register for Trump. That's what we really want to do. We want to go all around 16, and even this year, this might end up being our district. So we want to...
Yeah, I lost all my credit cards, Drunk Uncle.
Yeah, but there's a lot of opportunity there with Latinos. So we can make inroads into that area. That's from the district, right? So breaking off a couple of points by going out there. And Merced is also, Merced has not been one.
Can you guys hear what he's saying?
Well, yeah, so you would actually, you would help me, and you would be the one who would come up with a plan of how to do this. So that's kind of like what I'm looking for.
This guy right here is running for Congress.
I mean, we can talk more about it, but, and as the campaign grows later on, right now we're
Hopefully they're in. Hopefully they're in my my truck or my pocket.
It's gonna help the party, and so you guys can help work together. Come lead it. This is a lot about the mouse. Yeah, so you can lead it, and like I said, you're not just gonna be helping me. So if you're thinking, oh, it's just one guy. My goal is.
I know what I can do. I just set the camera down and you guys can see everything. How about that?
So, because it's gonna help you just by doing it.
Nope. That's too low. I tried. Yeah, I'm sure I'll find a meeting.
The state party is just convinced that they have a different way of going about it.
As soon as he's done talking to the beautiful ladies, I'll go talk to him.
And you guys can also
See what I mean? Conservative women are a lot better looking than liberal women.
you guys are the ones in the community that vote this way, and they think, well, we're just going to do it this way, and that's how it's going to win. But it's about the messaging. It's about actually going out there. They want to see. You don't change voting habits by not going out there. They need to see a candidate and people going out there. So,
There you go, drunk uncle. Is that what you wanted to see? So on the kid talking, he's like, I think he's 17 years old. He is very, very, you guys are bad. I thought I was bad. Wait, hold on. She's giving out her phone number. I don't want to do that. How you doing, sir?
Good, good.
I always find a good-looking ladies. Actually, you know what finds a good-looking ladies is the camera.
if we can make inroads in downtown Fresno, that's a huge plus. We need to get some of those people to realize that they're voting against what they believe, right? And a lot of it, well, they don't know because nobody tells them. The media's not going to tell them. The teacher's not going to tell them. So they just are told this and they think, oh,
I'm going to talk to this guy because he's running for Congress.
That's what they read everywhere. So it's extra hard for Republicans because we have to do the work on our own. The Democrats have it lucky because they can get the media to work for
But what do you guys think? If I come back here every month?
The way we're going to do it is on our own, and there's not.
Oh, you're talking about his big old booty? Yeah, he's got a big booty too.
Since I met you at that meeting, I was like, I want to get her to help her do this because you're so passionate about it, and that's the only way I'm going to win this race, is to bring in Latino voters.
Hey, drunk, how drunk are you tonight already?
Not just to vote for me, like I said, I want to bring them in to vote Republican from now on. Because it's better for them. We have to get that message out. Yeah, maybe we can meet up, we'll come down and we can talk more, but yeah.
Being able to do it. Yeah, maybe even shorter.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. And like I said, you don't have to come, and you can also bring in other people to help us too. This will be good. I'm excited. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, yeah, she's been on the same school for Well, she's thinking about the
I actually think the taller one is hot. So you want to know how bad Eddie is? Eddie's the kind of person that I'll say, okay, I'll take this person's head, that person's body, this person's booty. That's how bad of a person I am. All right, let's see if I can go. Let's go do this. So you actually in Madera, or are you up in the Oakhurst area?
I am.
Because you were on Guillermo's show on Monday, right? Were you at the Flag Wave?
Did he interview that?
I thought so. Well, weren't you out at the Flag Wave? He was live with Janine.
No. So I am. Sorry, I'm trying to send someone
No problem.
email address.
You don't mind? I'm filming you too, by the way, if you don't mind.
Oh, that's okay. Oh no, I look bad because I'm typing the email.
All right, I'll turn. We'll show the beautiful ladies. How about that?
Take me 2 more seconds.
David, if you want to, you're in Madera though, huh?
Yes, I am.
We don't really care about.
But I come to the. Well, I mean, my district's.
That'd be awesome.
Well, that's not true.
Yeah, go to it.
My district's in Fresno.
I didn't know that you were on the last one there.
Yeah, I was the very last person on the Capitol.
How far up did you get? Because we were there. We were there.
So let's see. That
I'm
when
running in Fresno, so I do care.
half the cost is district. Half of our districts here.
Downtown Fresno. Yeah. And actually, it's going to be a lot more Fresno if redistricting goes the way we think. So, but yeah.
These should, because I mean this we'll be able to find out how.
So right now it's Madera, Rancho is where I live. Up to
Okay.
Madera.
We're sitting there and everybody's like, you should announce it.
We thought he had won. He was in there as the winner, and then he left for DC that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. So we're gonna model our campaign on his effort. So that's
Okay, right on, cool.
part of our effort. We want to do what he did, and it's gonna take a lot of work though. So if you're interested in getting involved, helping out.
Yeah, I make videos and stuff. I've met him before here, yes. Here's my card. I make videos. I can help you out with some commercials, stuff like that. You know, so
Absolutely.
I'm always everywhere, you know.
I think I saw the article about you from one of the local newspapers had it.
When the FBI hit my house, or
I think it was about
or when I was running for county supervisor.
Down, right?
Huh? Yeah.
So I think that's what it was about.
Yeah.
It might have been TV Wire. Which I don't know.
You'd never trust TV Wire. David hates me. Well, David's a liberal, so what do you expect?
Well, he's technically a registered Republican, I guess.
David is?
Right? Isn't Todd a registered Republican?
No. Is he really? He doesn't treat me like a Republican.
That website isn't very Republican.
No, not at all.
Look who runs it. Darius Semi. I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when I was at the tower, I was at the Tower Theater about 2 months ago, and he was saying that I ran over this guy. If you watch the video, David's video. Yeah, if you watch David's video, the guy goes and puts his foot under my wheel. Right?
You do better videos than he does.
Yeah.
That's a good insurance claim then, right?
Yeah, he was trying to get me in trouble, you know. And I'm like, I thought you guys hate the cops, right? Why are you calling the cops all of a sudden? And they hate me.
So were you there with Ben? Because we rode on the plane home
No.
with Ben.
I wasn't with Ben. I was. Nice to meet you.
Yeah. And I'll see you again.
No, Connie, I wasn't with Ben. I was with some other friends. Yeah.
And they went up there with you?
No, actually, I went with the Proud Boys up there. I'm live, so I can't talk too much about it, but yeah, I was up there. Yeah, it's all right.
Oh my God.
So, but yeah, I was up there. I mean, it's all on video, so. But I got to, let's see, I was on the front lawn, and then there's that wall, and so I stopped there, and then these guys are like, hey, let's lift your scooter over. So like 5 guys lifted my scooter over, and then a guy lifted me over, or a couple guys lifted me over. Then right there, they're like 10 feet, 15, maybe 20 feet in. There's another set of stairs going up. Right where the big, huge, all the construction scaffolding was. So I was sitting right next to the scaffolding for like an hour, just watching what was going on, because everybody's cell phones went out, so I couldn't stream, and my batteries kept dying. So I saved it, in case I needed it. And then all of a sudden these guys come up, or it was a couple. They're like, hey, you want to get up the stairs? And I'm like, I'd love to. So they're like, hey, everybody, let's get Eddie up the stairs. So next thing you know, I have like 5 people carrying my scooter up the stairs. So then I'm on this next level, and I'm up there, and I was there for another like an hour and a half. And then what they had done is they took plywood and they leaned it against the wall. And so there's 2 guys on each side of the plywood, and they were pulling all these people up, right? So then they said, Eddie, let's get you up there. So then they got me up there. So I was up there. I think there was one more level you could go up. But I was right there. I lifted my camera up, and you could see the dome right behind me.
Did they get you that day, or did they come later?
They came later.
How late?
The 22nd of January is when they raided my house. Yeah, they took everything, and so I'm like, hey, do I have to worry about going to jail? Do I need to get somebody to watch my dogs? And they're like, no, we don't want you. You did nothing wrong. We just want your footage. That's exactly what the FBI told me. So if all they wanted was my footage, then why did they also take my cable box, all my battery packs? They took my cell phone. I'm like, dude, you can download my cell phone in like half an hour right here. I said, I'm handicapped. I live alone. What am I going to do if I fall and hurt myself? The FBI said, we don't care. Too bad. So then, I kept complaining. So one guy brought me a cell phone. He's like, here's a cell phone so you can call 911. I tried dialing out. You couldn't even use the cell phone. It was one of those prepaid, I had to buy it.
They took your cell phone.
They took everything. And so I've been calling them. I'm like, hey, when am I going to get my stuff back? He said, well, you know your GoPro 9? I said, yeah. He's like, it'll be a GoPro 20 or 30 by the time you get anything back. And I keep telling him, like, if all you want is the footage. The one officer gave me his number, and I think he regrets it because I call him all the time. But now, I forget the gentleman's name who was sitting next to me at the table. He's got a lawyer who's going to help me try and get my stuff back, he said. So, yeah. Mark? Do you know Mark? No. Mark, he's a lawyer around here. He's been talking a lot. Yeah. So hopefully. Mark wasn't here.
Mark Egbert.
No, I don't think that's the name. But yeah, so you guys were there too, huh? Oh, you weren't anywhere where I was, so don't worry about it.
I was on the ground.
Yeah, you were on the ground. Yeah. Well, like if you,
I would have if Kelly wasn't there.
yeah, I'll be honest with you. If I had the ability to get inside, you know, just out of curiosity, I would have been like, hey, you know, what's this, right? Luckily, I wasn't up to the level where I could get in. Otherwise, you would have seen my scooter, right? I mean, who wouldn't want to be just out of curiosity, you know? Just, yeah. So, but it was very interesting. But like any of the footage you watch from outside, if anything with to do with the Proud Boys, you'll see it says my name on there. They stole all my video. The Wall Street Journal, CNN, Vice, they all have my video.
Have you heard? I've heard there's 36 people in the DC jail, and they're not being treated very well.
That's what I hear, yeah.
And nobody's helping them. Nobody's.
No.
Everybody's afraid to.
Yeah, they're treating everybody like terrorists. Like so after the FBI raided my house, there's a store right on my corner that I go to all the time. And I went in one day, and I always joke around with the girl. She's nice, you know, and she's Mexican. And so this time I went in, and I went to pay for my stuff, and I put it in the cart. And she's like, no, your credit card hasn't cleared yet. And I'm like, you know it's going to clear. You know, why are you, you know? And it didn't click in my head yet. So then like a week later, I went in there, and she did the same thing. And there's this show called Gas Station Encounters on YouTube. It's about a gas station, how people steal stuff, and it's real funny. So I said, have you ever seen it? She's like, no, because then I just see racist people who come into my store all the time like you. And I'm like, how am I a racist? I'm like, you know, I was married to a Mexican person, and I'm always nice to you, and you're a Mexican. She's like, that doesn't mean you're not racist. And I'm like, you need to stop watching the news. So she now treats me, I won't go in her store anymore because she thinks I'm racist because the news said I was.
Oh, I needed a paper. Do you have an extra one?
Yes.
No, Ben Bergwam moved.
Yeah, he moved to Arkansas yesterday.
What?
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah. No!
Yeah.
We cried, and we gave him a big potluck thing at our church and everything.
Yeah, Ben's.
Yeah, his dad goes to a little Presbyterian church in Sanger. Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
I'll be darned. Is he from Sanger?
Yeah, you didn't know Ben lives in Sanger?
Yeah.
Well, not anymore.
Did his family move to Arkansas too?
Just his wife and his kids.
So you're going to carry on. You're going to be Eddie and Ben.
I guess so.
You gotta be both.
Well, Josh and Jason are trying to take over too. You guys know Josh and Jason, right?
Huh?
You know Josh and Jason? Josh used to help film for Ben a little bit.
No, and Jason who?
Oh my gosh,
Ben came and he gave a speech here one night.
Yes.
Several months back with the blood on the sign and
Yeah.
stitches and all that.
I made that video for him.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah, that was the very first video I made for Ben.
Oh. Well, I don't know if I saw the video. I just saw his head all torn out.
Just, if you go to my Facebook, just look up EddieBlockFilms on YouTube and just type in Ben at Berkeley, and it'll pop up.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would love to go.
I even slowed it down to where when the guy's hitting him with the cane, you can see it hit him in the head.
Are you kidding?
No, I slowed it down.
Didn't they throw frozen water bottles also?
That was in LA, yeah. Yeah. That's why if you sit in the back of my scooter, I have that pole. I have what's called a 360 crammer. So what it does, it films in every single direction. So I keep that on now because so many people attack. I don't have it here, but so many people would attack us that I had it. So that way, when they attacked us from behind, we could get it on camera.
Well, and the few times that he'd been out too, though, he said the police didn't come near the thing, they stood back 40 feet
That's,
away.
at Berkeley, that's what makes me
Yes.
mad, angry.
And well, if they're defunding them,
Yeah.
they're not even
Why-
gonna have any,
why
we need to get
would-
social worker. Social worker, you come in for domestic
Sorry, guys.
violence, yeah.
I'll
Once they
start.
shoot,
You
come
guys
to
are just
social
listening
worker,
into the
they got
background now.
police back.
Come
So-
on, we're gonna be late for X-Files.
Oh, you don't want to be late for X-Files.
I don't watch those, are they good? I'll have to watch that.
Are you an X-Files fan?
No?
I've never seen it, but I hear it's pretty good.
What, is it like a,
10 o'clock.
Scully and
10
Mueller, or
o'clock,
Scully, what's her
Monday
name?
through Thursday.
Scully and Mulder?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why his name was Fox, we don't know.
is it like CSI kind of thing?
No.
No, it's alien stuff, right?
You know the X-Files?
Oh, aliens.
X-Files.
It really looks true? They look true?
From back in the 90s.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
1992.
I hear they're bringing it back though again.
Set it up.
Every night, Monday through.
No, I mean new episodes.
I don't know about that. We're watching the original one. But people laugh. We say X-Files is kind of a joke, like an inside
Yeah.
Now
joke.
it's getting
Right?
more important.
But let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. The issues that they, Chris Carter, the guy who created it, he's like one of the writers, the inventor of it.
Yeah.
The issues that they were dealing with back in the early 90s, so we're talking, say 91, we're talking about what? 30 years ago? The issues they were dealing with 30 years
Are you
ago
guys gonna start coming to the Kingsburg
could have been
meeting?
filmed last week.
Son?
Yeah, I bet.
It's Tuesday night.
30 years ago, they didn't know as much about DNA as we know now, right? So 30 years ago, when the X-Files would get on a case that had to do with alien DNA or whatever, it was like,
Yeah.
spooky stuff, right? Well, guess what? Now it's in the magazine.
Yeah.
It's today.
Well, you heard the speaker today saying that they bought that the DNA company so they could figure out everybody's DNA.
Ancestry.com.
Yeah.
I subscribe to a magazine called Science News.
Okay.
I've been a subscriber for over 30 years.
Uh huh.
It used to be weekly, now it's bi-weekly. It's a little magazine, not much advertising. And what it is, it's the articles are synopsis or condensations rewritten in plain English by their editorial staff of what's going on in the world of science. Everything from astrophysics to DNA research to archaeology, you name it.
Yeah.
Anything that's scientific, right?
Yeah.
Be stupid.
In this last issue, recent issue,
Uh huh.
believe it or not, that's hard to believe. You're familiar with the DNA has A, G, T, and C, right?
Yeah.
4 enzymes.
Mm-hmm.
And the letters stand for the name of the enzyme.
I know not what I do.
Right. No, I was never there.
40 years ago, listen, I'm bringing this up because of the X-Files.
Okay.
40 years ago, back when the X-Files, before the X-Files were invented,
Mm-hmm.
about the time the X-Files were invented on television, a Russian researcher discovered that in addition to what Watson and Crick found out about AGT and C and DNA, double helix and all that,
For so long, but I am.
he found another one, a 5th enzyme.
Really?
Doesn't look that hard.
And he designated it Z, Z,
Mm-hmm.
zebra. So he have A, G, T, C, and Z 40 years ago.
And they're just finding out now.
And they published it last week in Science News because somebody got to reviewing
But she says, yeah, once it goes, like once
the articles in the journals, you know, the archives.
Yeah.
And they, wait a minute, this guy found this 40 years ago? It never made the press, it never got out, nobody knows about it.
Mm-hmm.
So the person who wrote the article researched it and what the scientists found out and how they verified it and
Yeah.
checked it with today's technology, not 40 years ago. And sure enough, there's a fifth enzyme.
Really? I gotta look that up now.
And it substitutes the Z, what they call the Z now, substitutes straight across for the A
Wow.
in bacteria, because that's as far as they've researched it for in bacteria. That's always the starting point.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it turns out that the Z enzyme that substitutes for the A enzyme in a bacteria, and there's like, I think 10 different species of bacteria that they found it in, is more stable, does a better job, and so forth in the DNA of the bacteria.
Wow.
And it's like, whoa! X-Files was dealing with this 30 years ago, and we're fictional. I'm
Yeah.
serious. So it's like, okay, so we watch the X-Files every night.
Sounds like I gotta start watching the X-Files.
Some of it is really macabre, just, like that.
Over the top, yeah.
Oh, wait, I'm not going to watch it. Some of it's that category, horror
Sure.
kind of stuff. And a lot of it has to do with, aliens, flying saucers, that's the basic premise. But they go off on these different, whoever writes it, Chris Carter and his writers, who go off on this stuff, they dig up all kinds of stuff, like DNA and,
Yeah.
well, the conclusion of this article in Science News is, hey, when our exoplanet astrophysicists are searching data for other planets and other systems and other galaxies and so forth, they need to start looking for the Z enzyme instead of just the AGTC.
Yeah.
Because it may very well be that a life form in another system doesn't use the A, they use the Z.
That's interesting.
Google it.
I will.
Look it up.
I will. Right on, sir. Well,
It's like, we just laugh out loud. X-Files dealt with this 30 years ago, now it's coming out.
yeah, that's interesting. That's very interesting.
But they do a lot of stuff like that. Really, just really bizarre, off the wall stuff.
Now you're making me. Now tonight I'm actually gonna go home and watch it.
Yeah, it's here locally. If you're watching broadcast, free TV, broadcast TV.
Yeah.
It's on 10 o'clock Monday through Thursday on 23.6, channel 23.6.
Okay.
It's called Comet. All the stations have a name. This was called Comet.
Okay, I'll check it out.
COMET, Comet, and it's 100% science fiction on that channel.
Is it?
Including the X-Files at 10 o'clock.
Right on. All right, sir. Well, it was nice meeting you. Nice talking to you. Yeah. We're gonna. Excuse me, guys. Thanks for inviting me again, Kelly.
Thank you.
Yeah. If you don't mind, maybe I'll just every month I'll bring a higher a taller stand, and maybe if you guys don't mind, I'll just film it for you guys every Wednesday if you want.
Tell you what, next time's
We need it next time for
Sandy,
Sandy, because Sandra will be bombed.
Okay. Yeah. Just text me the date, and I'll.
It'll be good too. I'll watch and see how weird I talk, and then I'll go
Yeah.
back and go, oh.
Well, and the internet, I guess the cell phone service started cutting out a couple times here, but it started doing it when he started talking about the election. All of a sudden, stuff cut out, and YouTube and the internet for some reason decided to stop working at that moment. So we'll figure it out. But yeah, I'll start doing it if you guys.
Yeah.
Little donation to the program.
Oh well, thank you. You don't have to do this, but thank you.
I do.
Oh,
I
thank
do,
you.
because I appreciate you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And I did buy that light last time, but guess who has it now?
Is it? I cannot believe they did that to you. They took his phone. He said, well, what am I going to do if I fall? And they said, we don't care, the FBI.
Yeah. I know I know the local police department. When the police department were there, like, Eddie, are you sure? They came with them. They're like, do you need some help, Eddie? I'm like, no, you know me. They're like, are you sure you don't want us to stay? I'm like, don't waste your time.
Yeah.
But the police were not there to help the FBI. The police were there to make sure that I was okay. They were supposed to be helping the FBI, but they just said, Eddie, are you okay? We'll stay here with you.
They knew you?
Oh, I know everybody in the Madera Police Force. Yeah. So
So they had to notify them that they were coming to see
Yes.
you.
Oh, I had Fresno Sheriff at my house, Madera Sheriff, Madera PD, and about 28. I'll send you the video. I actually have my Ring doorbell video of when they all rushed my house and tried to break into my house. I'll send it to you. I'll send you the link.
Is the January 6th tape still available for you?
I hid that just because so many people were getting in trouble from it, but it's everywhere. It's everywhere. But I can probably, if you guys promise not to share it with anybody, I'll send it to you guys. I can send you a link. No, I didn't see you guys. If I would have seen you guys, I would have said hi. So you guys are not on there at all. I think I was on the opposite side.
No, we were on the side of the tree. We were right up.
I went up through the grass and then I went up.
Yeah, we didn't go up. We didn't cross any barriers.
Yeah. Well, but when I went there were no barriers. They were already gone when I got up there.
Well, they were never there then, right?
I watched a video though where the police are just opening the barriers up and saying, "Come on in."
I know. Yeah, exactly. Well, and then when we left was I think about 4:30 when they said, "Okay, the National Guard is coming in now."
Mm-hmm.
So that's when we left, and then you heard that thing that they shot. And what's that mean? That meant that they're emergency help us kind of thing.
Yeah.
Huh? But nobody was there. Nobody was there to
when I was there, they were shooting off flashbangs. You know, at the very end when the tear gas came out, I covered up my face, and luckily I had my mask. And I'm like, hey, for once it's good to have a mask, right? So I put my mask on, and when I took my eyes down, it was still watery, but all I see is like 300 cops just pushing everybody out of the way, and they didn't even see me. So then because I was right up against the wall of the Capitol, and all of a sudden they turned around and they're like, "What are you doing up here?" And I was like, "Filming." So they're all, "How are we going to get you down?" I was like, "Just take me to an elevator." But they wouldn't. So the one cop said, "I'm not going to take you to an elevator because if you got carried up here, then you can go. If you went up the stairs, you can go down the stairs." And I'm like, "Why are you being a dick?" He's like, "I've had a bad day today, and I don't need your shit." And I was like, "I've had a bad day today too," right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, it was such an early day, right? We were out there really early.
I didn't leave. I left the Capitol at 6:30 at night. That's how long I stayed there. That's when they finally took me off the Capitol. I'll send you that video too, because I had the video of that.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, so.
It was cold too that day.
Oh yeah, I was freezing. Like my camera's shaking. I'm like, guys, I'm not scared. It's because it's so cold up here.
Did you go early in the morning to see the president and stuff?
I got in there and I was trying to interview people, but it was just so tight that I couldn't move around, so I went back out.
Oh yeah.
And.
Oh yeah, we weren't in the front day. We went early too, but we already.
I did get to meet Alex Jones that day though.
Oh, we did. We saw him. He spoke the day before.
Yeah. Well, no. I was trying to get, because I had my White House press pass. You know, that Ben got me a long time. Ben and Guillermo got me. So I was like showing it to him. I was like, "That's not the proper pass for this event." And I was like, "Shit." So then, and I was rolling away. Here comes Alex Jones, and everybody's trying to get his attention. And I was like, "Hey, can I take a picture?" He's like, "I'm really busy right now." I said, "You just showed a video of mine a while ago. I don't know if you saw it, but a guy in Sacramento, this Antifa kid, he was swinging a chain at this lady. So I got in the middle and took his attention off of her and put it on me, so that way he wouldn't hurt her. And so he ended up actually swinging the chain on me and hitting me with the chain. And so I said, "Alex, you shared that video. That's me." He's like, "That was you?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, I'll take a picture then." So he came over and took a picture with me.
So you got hit with a chain?
Mm-hmm. It was a little skinny Antifa guy. It didn't even hurt.
Yeah. Killed you.
Yeah. And you know what the DA did? They just gave him time served for his 10 minutes in jail, and just said, he's got a good record. We're not going to make this. And I'm like, it's felony battery. Yeah. I'll send you the videos of that too. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll send you a lot of videos. Okay. All right, Connie. Thank you for inviting me. And send me the link to the next meeting, and I'll come and show them. In fact, I'm going to show you guys this restaurant around so people come. The meatloaf was great again. And I tried your chocolate for two. Oh, yeah. That was really good. The mousse. No, I shared it with everybody back here. Yeah. It was really good though. Yeah. All right, Connie. Thank you guys. Yeah. Sure, of course. So this is their restaurant. Sorry guys. Now you know why my ex-wife would hate going places with me. Because everybody wants to talk to me and I talk to everybody. It's kind of hard to see in here because it's dark right now. But yeah, so this is the schoolhouse, and Tavern here in Sanger, California. They have great food. It's not on the cheap side though, I can tell you that, but the food is definitely worth it. That old. And this actually used to be a schoolhouse. You guys want to see what's in here? Hello. Just showing off their place. So we got a little tavern in here. I've never been on this side before. Never been on this side before. I don't know, I might go to DC just to film it again. How you doing? You're showing everybody your restaurant, Kelly.
Oh, good, Eddie, thank you.
The meatloaf was excellent again tonight, as always. Hey, this is their nice little restaurant space. You've got some gorgeous waitresses here too. You think it's a setup, guys? Hello. How you ladies doing? You guys want to say hi to everybody? See, come to the schoolhouse and you can see beautiful waitresses and get taken care of. Oh wow, this is cool. Check out this old stove. Oh, sorry, bud.
Oh, it's all good.
I'm just showing off spaces you guys got around here. Check out this old stove, guys. Is that cool or what? All right, guys. Yeah, they had a dope. Their Caesar salad was awesome. Did you see the bread on top of it? I'm not being creepy with the ladies. They wanted to be on camera too. They waved. There's the chef right there. All right, guys. Have a good night.
Dude, thank you.
All right, Kelly. Thank you. We'll talk to you later. Oh, I'm good. Here, thank you. You guys are always nice to me here.
Well, we're trying, you know, shit happens sometimes.
Oh yeah, no. I understand.
Just don't bring chickens again, okay? No more chickens
Nope.
in the back of your pickup.
When did I have chickens in the?
First time you came here, you had chickens.
No,
you
I
had to
didn't.
Feed your dogs or something, and we had to put your chair up, and the chicken they were rotten. Don't you remember that?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right.
So always.
I remember that. Yeah.
Chicken story.
Yeah, because my truck's what?
You had
I bought some chicken from Costco and I left it. I forgot about it. That's right, and it got rotten.
You had rotten chicken.
Yeah. Now I remember.
Somebody gave you a bunch of chickens.
Was it that?
Feed, what do you
It
have,
was for my
hogs?
pig. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Right on, Kelly.
All right.
Thank you. I totally forgot about that. Oh my gosh, the stories you guys hear about Eddie all the time, right? Your dad used to talk to everybody? Yeah. No, that's what I do, guys. Plus, you know, I'm a safe person. People are like, oh, he's the guy in the wheelchair. He's safe. We can talk to him, right? Nobody's afraid of me. And I'm a talker. I just like talking to people. That's who Eddie is. That's why you guys watch my show, right? But there you guys go. I know some of tonight was boring, but it's always good information, right? If it's boring, it means you're learning something. That's what I think. Yeah, I guess I am a man of the people, right? I'm just very, very talkative. Very open to discussion, to learning new things. And but what I'll do is if I come the next time I come, I'll bring my whole setup. I'll bring my laptop, and then that way we can do it, you know, like I normally do with my sound effects. We can have drunk uncle talking in the side. Eddie will be happy with the wank now and again. Okay, I don't understand that, Mark. You're gonna have to explain that to me. You wasn't bored at all. Good to know, Hemi. Let's see, trying to just catch up on some of your comments. Yeah, no, the people are awesome. I know, right? Well, actually, I don't know if you guys were hearing me talking. One of the girls was talking to me, and she'll probably call me. Alex was saying today he expects major F's. Really? You seen a dope looking Caesar salad, yeah. All right, guys. Well, so I'm gonna hop in my truck. I'm gonna get out of here. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. I hope you enjoyed being here. And yeah, I'm glad I asked your question. So like I said, next time I'll have my computer here. I'm gonna start doing this more often because we need to hear what the politicians are talking about here in our state. Yeah, Mark Coyle is from England. So yeah, so I hope everybody had fun. I'm gonna get out of here. Drunk Uncle, what do you got to say? Let's see if he can type it in. Well, he'll probably type it in a minute. We'll do the mittens, whatever he does. So, and I learned how to text message on my watch, if you guys didn't see that. So, everybody have a good night, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Same bat channel, same bat station. Eddie Block Films, yo. We got the Eddie Block show, right? So hopefully we'll have everything out. There he goes, Mac Mittens out, meow meow. Talk to you guys later. Hope you guys have a good night. The Eddie Block Film Show, Mr. Nice Guy singing in the background.